Okay, before I go to bed, I think I will do this education bit. The next issue, where pure libertarianism, in my honest opinion, would restrict social mobility, is education. My departure from ideological purity is extreme. I am receptive to the libertarian recipe, vouchers, tax credits, charter schools, etc. But fundamentally, market solutions will not transform failing schools. The market might make successful schools even better, but the inner city and rural schools will lag even further. Many years ago, 60 Minutes did a story on the school system run by the Department of Defense. Achievement is very high. The gap between white and minority achievement is statistically insignificant. Parent participation, the key factor, is extraordinary. At any given time, 1/3 of all parents are inside the school, volunteering as teacher aides, monitoring crosswalks, doing administrative gopher tasks, preparing for recitals, plays, carnivals, and games, etc. School principals monitor parent involvement. If a parent stays invisible for long, the principal will call the parent CO. The commanding officer will command the parent to attend his child's school play, a real command performance. This started me thinking. The 3 best predictors of school performance are: 1. Is the student the child of teachers? 2. Is the student the child of first or second generation Asian immigrants? 3. Is the student an army brat? What do all of those predictors have in common? Do your homework, no excuses. Further, it occurred to me that those children of Asian immigrants very often attend inner city schools. They succeed in failing schools. Those same schools where the education establishment complains about per pupil funding works just fine for those students whose parents say, do your homework, no excuses. Failing parents make failing schools. How can we remove their option and their children's to fail? They need a CO. I propose that the Department of Defense build and administer K-12 schools in the 50 poorest rural counties and the 50 most blighted inner city neighborhoods. 1 per state, let's say, just to be politically sensible. The parents would have to place themselves under military discipline, soldiers serving their children. Given that the Army would be taking over a task where the education establishment has failed, the Department of Education should be eliminated and their most productive, not necessarily most senior, people absorbed into this new venture. All right, obviously I can see that, and by the way, the next issue will be the Federal Reserve, where I also differ from the libertarians. Get into that in a bit. Well, tomorrow. This will not be cheap. You're going to be putting schools into places where there's going to be tremendous resistance to the whole feeling, the whole ethic, the whole culture of achievement. Children should not be allowed into those schools unless the parents sign themselves over to the Department of Defense. That they are under military discipline. Their option, the parents' option to fail, must be eliminated. And the schools, through the military, whatever it takes, are going to have the power. If you've got a kid, parents are both druggies, you make every effort possible to, what's the best word? to God, what's the word? Enlightens is not a strong enough word. It's like religious. There's a religious word that fits the bill. But if the parents cannot be redeemed, redemption, that's the word I was looking for, redemption. If the parents or whoever is sabotaging them, the uncle, the grandparents, whatever is sabotaging that child's possibilities, that child's what the being as big as the child can be, that child should be removed from that environment. And so these schools should have a big residential component. And we're talking, this is not going to be cheap. This is like adoption. Adoption done properly, it's not cheap. It's not cheap. But how do you, and this is where I really, really part ways with my party. How do you give up on the kids? Just how do you, what does it say about you? What does it say about us to give up on the kids? Right? Whatever must be done. And like I said, these schools, one reason why I say it should be one rural county in the most blighted inner city part of each state is obviously those are the most deprived areas. There could be an exchange once you get this thing going, that the inner city kids who never get to see livestock, never get to see that, never get to be around the whole agricultural world, they should be able to go. A month-long exchange. And the kids from, in our state, it would be one of those counties in southeastern Colorado. Not Prowers, but poorest county in this state. Gosh, I wish I had it off the top of my head, but I'm going to say southeast Colorado somewhere in the Arkansas Valley. Those kids, seeing theater, they don't get a chance. Broncos game live, Rockies live, the concerts live. No, they don't get to see that. So, and that should be, and like I said, every state, the poorest rural county and the most blighted urban area, just Department of Defense comes in, plops down a school, and you plop down a school, you're laying roots. And like I said, you are taking away the option of those parents to fail. And that means it's not going to be cheap. It's not going to be cheap. It's going to involve social workers. It's going to mean empowering principals to literally say, no, you will show up at the play. You will do crosswalk duty. Okay? Parents got to sign on for that. Anything less is just setting up to fail.